And welcome back to the Constitutionals Podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the premier podcast for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Welcome back in. You might hear PBS NewsHour in the background. It is the end of the work day, and I've put on a shirt for the second time today. True or false? This is episode 377. True or false? I got back. Usually I take Maverick to the dog park on Thursdays, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and Saturdays. And but I went. We walked over there today, and there was nary a person. There was one person who I find so annoying. So I turned. So there's nary a person. So we hit the corner. I went, nope. Turned around. Started walking back, and I'm drenched at this point. The dog park is a 5-minute walk. I'm drenched. And I said, let's just go around the block. We went around the block, went through the neighborhood, hit a trail, and that was still like 20 minutes. And it wasn't even a mile. Then the watch didn't even trigger because I have it on the automatic tracking. And it's supposed to do it after 10 minutes, but I guess we didn't walk that long. Anyway, I got home, and I just checked the shirt that I was wearing at that point. It was soaking wet. And now it's just like a little wet. Then I took off the shirt, sat down for work. I don't think I put a shirt on until I made lunch. And then I took it off again because I took Maverick out again. It was still hot. Then I'm still doing my yoga a day. I got to 100 days and I went, you know what? Let's let it ride. Let's let it keep going. Maybe I won't do it on a Sunday. Maybe I won't do it I typically do it every Saturday. Maybe I won't do it on a Monday. Who knows? Anyway, so I did yoga, and I did yoga at like 4. I didn't have anything for work. My laptop was next to me, but I was doing yoga, and I was sweating my butt off. It was in a little intermediate flow with Dennis Morton on Peloton. See, I can say positive things about Peloton sometimes. Welcome back in. What's been going on? I did not get to a movie this week. I was going to go see the drama at my local AMC, and it was packed on Tuesday. Like, even the rows, I sit in the first 3 rows that's separated by the large aisle, and even those were filled. The back 2. And I went, no, I can't do this. And I checked AMC's showings for net, and then there's a Landmark theater as well. I go to sleep at 9. I get in bed at 9, and the Landmark, while they have way less trailers before the movie, it started at 7:45, and I know I wouldn't get back till 10:30. And then my Wednesday would be fucked, even though it typically usually is. Okay. And now I'm looking at this movie, and I don't think for AMC next week, the drama is only, let's see. They have a 7:30 and an 8:25, but honey, at 8 on a Tuesday, on a leg day, oh man, you're going to see me slowly pass away. Oh, they have a 7:10 at the Landmark. Maybe I'll go to that. We'll see. I do want to see that movie. I don't know why. And then nothing else has been going on. I did make a tracker on my Notion of the movies and TV shows that I own and where to watch them. A big part of my issue with some things is I would go look and try to buy a movie, and then I would see that I've owned it digitally for a very long time. So now I got the lists of the movies and TV shows in Apple TV and Vudu and Movies Anywhere and Google, which is I guess YouTube, I guess. So I cataloged them. I put little like quality, what quality I own it in, and if it's movies anywhere accessible, and then where to watch it. That was like 15 minutes of time, but still, it was a decent chunk of change. Trying to figure out how to only display the movies when I click on the movie tab, and how to only display TV shows. Notion's difficult, but it's still good. It's just difficult, and then sometimes it doesn't do common sense things. And I put down the Harry Potter game, Hogwarts Legacy. I put that down a couple of months ago so I could play. What was that game I hate? High on Life 2. And then last night I picked it back up. It takes me forever to play a game. I'm still playing through God of War 2018, and I just bought God of War Ragnarok over Christmas. It was on sale for $20, and I picked it up. And it'll sit on the hard drive for a little bit. Yeah, it's downloaded. The same thing happened. I just bought a game I had on PlayStation Plus, but I wanted to own it. Persona 5 Strikers and Persona 5 Tactica. They're spinoffs of the Persona 5 game, which I did. I love Persona 5 Royal so much. It's such a good game. It is one of my favorite games. But I bought those two spinoffs, and now they're just gonna sit. I gotta sneeze. Ugh. That was a deep pollen-based sneeze. There's something going on with my voice. I think it's because I might be dehydrated, but I've been peeing clear. And then I think it's the pollen. So I did a vacuum, and I picked up a lot of pet hair in the bedroom. I vacuum multiple times a week, but I guess I didn't hit the bedroom very well since Sunday, because, man, I picked up a lot of pet hair. I even washed all the pet stuff. I washed all the pet things. All right, I'm bored. Let's get on with the stories. How do I have this set up? So this week was CinemaCon, and there's a lot of news coming out of CinemaCon this week in regards to movies and stuff. And it seemed it's basically theater owners coming together to talk about what's next, the industry, all that stuff. This comes from The Wrap, written by Jeremy Fuster. Cinema United CEO calls out mergers, praises expanded theatrical windows at CinemaCon. So CinemaCon, this week, we saw a lot of studios, thankfully, either commit to keeping movies in theaters for at least 30 days, and then some of them even promised to expand to 45. I believe I saw a headline that said Spielberg praised those theater owners for saying, that they're going to do what they're supposed to be doing, what they did 10 years ago, 5 years ago even. And he was like, tongue-in-cheekily, jokingly, but who knows if no joke, but he's like, hey man, let's do it even longer. He's right. Let's take it back to 90 days. Let me not worry about missing the drama in theaters. I want to see it in theaters. I don't want to wait 3 more months and it's at home. Michael O'Leary struck a balance between celebrating the positives and issuing grave warnings about the state of the movie theater industry in his keynote speech at CinemaCon on Tuesday, extolling the return of longer theatrical windows while reiterating the industry's opposition to any acquisition of Warner Brothers. I talked about it this week on LinkedIn Logs. I believe late last week, 1,000 producers, directors, and actors in the industry signed an open letter to opposing Paramount buying Warner Brothers. And earlier this week, 1,000 more people signed that. So it's like Mark Ruffalo and Scarlett Johansson and just like a bunch of famous people, which is exactly what we need. And they need to continue talking about this, because this is not going the government, if lawmakers and famous people are all against something like this, then the government has to speak up. They have to speak up, and the government has to do something about it. But they're not going to. So who knows? So O'Leary is very optimistic. He said original films excelled last year. Talking about last year's. movie-going experience. Moviegoers sent a clear message that they crave stories that expose them to new ideas and new worlds. It's very true. I've spoken about it on this program before, but there are studies I've talked about have come out that said audiences want to see diverse casting, and yet we get movies like Wuthering Heights. We get whatever Paul Thomas Anderson makes. And just because he made one movie with a bunch of colored people does not mean that he's solved his problems with prejudice in casting. In casting, I know he's married to Maya Rudolph. Continuing on with the quote, and in support of these great movies, exhibition stepped up and made the experience of going to the movies even more memorable. This is why you're starting to see like bars and shit at AMC, which I don't like. Along with that optimism, O'Leary also called out studio consolidation as a major threat to the positive trends exhibitors have been enjoying. He didn't mention it by name, but he was talking about Paramount, Skydance, Warner Brothers. He warned that any transaction that results in Warner Brothers being owned by another major Hollywood entity would, quote, be harmful to exhibition, consumers, and the entire entertainment ecosystem. Further concentrating marketplace power in the hands of a smaller group of distributors that dictate the terms, window scheduling, screen placement of movies, and access to historic film catalogs will have a real and lasting impact on Main Street and millions of fans, movie fans around the world. And this week, I believe today, David Ellison committed to doing at least 30 movies in theaters every year, at least minimum. And his idea is that with the combined power of Paramount, Skydance, and Warner Brothers, they'll be able to put out so many different movies, which I don't think is necessary. Like just because you just spent $111 billion, you don't have the money to put down with help from Saudi investment funds and Chinese companies and your dad. You don't have your Trump loving dad. You don't have the money to go out and put into. And I understand companies have different monies everywhere else, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they have the money to go out and make another X movie or whatever. I couldn't think of something. Universal announced that it would do 45-day windows starting in 2027. Paramount Skydance said it'll also do 45. And Disney had an average theatrical window for its 2025 slate of 62 days. And look at these movies that are doing well. Hoppers, Project Hail Mary, Super Mario Galaxy movie. Those were movies, well, at least Project Hail Mary and the Super Mario Galaxy movie. Those were movies that people wanted to see. And they did. Now, continuing on, this is definitely pollen. This comes from The Wrap again, written by Drew Taylor and Sharon Waxman. Netflix's Ted Sarandos meets theater owners at CinemaCon as streamer considers bigger theatrical presence. Even Netflix is getting in on it. But also, in order to win awards, they have to go to the theater for like 2 weeks, I believe. So at this CinemaCon thing, Sarandos met with AMC Theater CEO Adam Aron, Regal CEO Eduardo Acuna, and Cinemark CEO Sean Gamble, among others, talking over the possibility of putting more Netflix movies into theaters, according to two individuals with knowledge of the meeting. He understands that movies like, I don't know, K-pop Demon Hunters would have done gangbusters in theaters, and they eventually did release that movie in theaters with the sing-along version, but for 2 weeks only. I think 2 weeks once and then another time 2 weeks. So anyway, I was right. The 3 weeks, usually 2 weeks, resulted in smaller awards qualifying runs in key markets. So yeah, they have to do at least 2 weeks for the movies. So there's no plans, but every single one of these CEOs should remain excited that Netflix is even thinking about this. I'm sorry, I'm skimming through this story. F1 that released in theaters, remember, and that's an Apple movie, and then it came out and has still done well on streaming. It's also one of the only movies on Apple TV. There's a couple, but they're not good. You know what movie is always in the top 10 on Apple TV is Greyhound, the Tom Hanks movie Greyhound. It's a movie I watched, and I enjoyed it, but I don't want to see any more of those Apple TV, except for Spirited. I love Spirited. I watch Spirited every single year. They just released it on Apple TV to buy, and has not gone on sale, but I'm hoping. I love that movie. It's so good. It's so funny. K-pop Demon Hunters 1 weekend run late last summer had a staggering 18 to 20 million at the box office. Oh my gosh. And then it won 2 Academy Awards. Okay. Let's move on. Under the same story. This comes from Variety, written by Brent Lang, or the same topic, rather. Sony Pictures boss Tom Rothman urges theater owners to stop having 30 minutes of trailers and commercials before movies start. Get off the ad crack, he says. At CinemaCon, Rothman bluntly told the cinema operators in the audience at Caesar's Palace that they needed to cut back on the trailers and commercials that can last for roughly 30 minutes before the opening credits even roll. 2 weeks ago, when I saw Super Mario Brothers Galaxy movie, or whatever the heck it's called, I assumed it was going to be 25 to 30 minutes. It was going to have 25 to 30 minutes of trailers, and the movie started at 6:30. I walked in at 6:52, something like that, lamenting that I would have to watch trailers. But at that point, Rosalina was already telling, the movie started, and Rosalina was talking to her little Luma children. And I was so pissed. I was like, what? Oh my gosh. It was my fault. But then, prior to that, whatever movie I saw before that, I think it was Project Hail Mary I saw at Landmark. Whatever I saw at Amazon, AMC before that, Hoppers. I think that was Hoppers. That one had 30 minutes, and every movie before that had 30 minutes. And they have already, AMC said they were going to cut back already, but it's still so much. He noted that frequent moviegoers now show up a half hour late to avoid all the spots. Something that reserved seating has made easier than ever before. Rothman said that means many people, quote, don't even see the trailers, which results in enticements gone to waste. Now, see, he's only talking about ads. I'm also talking about trailers. I don't need trailers. I don't need any of that. They're at home. I can go on YouTube and watch them. I get email trailers. Links to trailers, press releases. Rothman has been a vociferous defender of the big screen, pushing movie studios to embrace longer windows so that movies will stay in cinemas longer. Enforce longer windows, Rothman said. Yes, even if it means you cannot play every film. I don't know, man. I'm looking at my Atom tickets, and it seems my movie theater next week, my movie theater of choice is going to be playing mostly Lee Cronin's The Mummy. Yeah, Tuesday, April 21st, Lee Cronin's The Mummy has more play times than Project Hail Mary is in one theater, and it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 play times. Oh, no, that can't be possible. Whatever. And then Michael is going to, apparently. And then the Devil Wears Prada 2. I have no interest in seeing Michael. There's a new trailer, obviously, for obvious reasons. There's a new trailer for Street Fighter. And while I like the Street Fighter franchise, not more so than Mortal Kombat. I'm excited for Mortal Kombat 2. I don't want to. They have Andrew Scholes is in that movie, so I have no interest in seeing that movie. Also, 50 Cent's in it. And you know it's not going to be good. 50 cents in it. Rothman is right. I would also appreciate it if they put less trailers. Okay, and finally, this comes from the Hollywood Reporter. Film shoots are down in U.S. this year, except in New Jersey. Everything's legal in New Jersey. That's Hamilton. It's written by Eric Hayden. Across the United States, the volume of movie and TV on-location production filming slowed in the first quarter of this year, with one state marking an exception, New Jersey. It's up 45% year over year, as well as production spend, which is up 37%, while other places, including Atlanta and Los Angeles, saw declines. Eric is referring to production intelligence platform ProdPro's quarterly report, which came out this week. Jesus. I clicked through the thing, and I'm just looking through it. I can't see. I don't know what any of this means. I'll just go back to the article. The tracking firm attributes New Jersey's gains to a surge in episodic activity as more series shoot in the state that's been deemed Hollywood East due to its mix of tax incentives, studio infrastructure, and available crew. That was also once Atlanta at one point. Companies that are now setting up shop in New Jersey include Netflix, which is investing $1 billion to build an East Coast base with 12 sound stages at the former site of Fort Monmouth, New Jersey. Wow, $1 billion. And New Jersey is also probably good because it's so close to like New York, and people can drive in and stuff. But I also, Atlanta's got a world famous airport, so I don't know. I'm not advocating for. I am advocating for Atlanta. Oh yes, please get people work. Paramount inked a 10-year lease in October to occupy 85,000 square feet of the in-construction 1888 studios in Bayonne, while Lionsgate is set as the anchor tenant of Great Point Studios in Newark. So many movies as of late have shot there, including Steven Spielberg's Disclosure Day, Amazon MGM's Sylvester Stallone biopic, I Play Rocky. I looked at the cast of that and I went, okay, well, not everything's for everybody. I'm kidding. Again, New Jersey has given the best tax deal to a lot of productions, including Toby Emmerich, film producer Toby Emmerich, who enjoys shooting in New York and Pennsylvania. I believe this is a guy from I Play Rocky, the producer of that movie. California stayed number one overall with $1.48 billion in production spend. That inched up 2% year over year, even as filming count declined by 14%. And number two was New York, which also saw shoot counts decline by 14%, while holding production spend essentially flat year over year. Well, they lost another show. Law & Order Organized Crime was just canceled today, and it made me very sad. We're going to get so much less Stabler. When they didn't announce a renewal of season 6, I went, okay, well, maybe they're holding off until mid-season. And I realized in January, I said, hey, when is Organized Crime coming back? And it didn't, and here we are. If you didn't watch Organized Crime, it was Elliot Stabler came back. They killed his wife in the first episode. And then he basically had emotional flirtations with Mariska Hargitay's Liv Benson. They had very few crossovers until they wanted to have crossovers, and then suddenly you would see a Law & Order SVU person pop up, mostly Mariska Hargitay. And then in season 4, I believe they went to Peacock, season 4 or season 5, and they said the F word. And you're like, whoa, they can curse now. And it was more serialized, and than any Law and Order show, besides the Menendez brothers one. But it was good. It was a good show. It was a good show. Since Governor Gavin Newsom of California signed into law a law doubling of the state's tax incentive to $750 million annually last year, the state's film commission has aggressively courted projects from other locales and also incentivized studios to tell stories that center LA locations. Let's not forget Illinois, where NBC Chicago procedurals, as well as FX's The Bear, started off the year flat as far as filming count and saw a slight uptick in production spend year over year. Some other things shoot in Chicago. They spent $703 million in 2025, which is up from $560 in 2019. Governor J.B. Pritzker called that an all-time high. New Mexico and Georgia, both of which had been seen in up-and-coming locations for major features and television series in recent years, although Marvel essentially is just gone out of Georgia now. They saw notable declines in filming count and production spend to start 2026. One major soundstage operator noted of late that there's been a trend of features moving back to traditional hubs in the past year. It's because of the tax credits. It's truly just tax credit. Because it's cheaper to shoot in Australia and it's cheaper to shoot in New Zealand. So you'll see right now, or London. So you'll see a lot of movies and shows go over there. I've spoken about it before. The Rock's Young Rock on NBC, that shot in Memphis and in Atlanta it's shot in Atlanta. It's shot in Georgia. To look like Memphis, and then in New Zealand, and then I think the latest Spider-Man, Brand New Day, is in London. It's just cheaper. It's shot in London. It's just cheaper. Georgia's still above Illinois though, but they have 26 productions. Illinois had 9. California had 81. New York had 43. I'm looking at this chart here if you're watching the video from Prod Pro. Interesting. That's all interesting information. I've come to a point where I just want people to work. I don't even care if I like the project or not. I just want people to work. I don't want it to be shit, but I would love for people to just get jobs because it's difficult. It's difficult, and burnout is real, and just like even the availability of jobs, just even earn the skill sets. Okay, we're done. Listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website cpluscomedy.com where you can see a video version of, where you can see everything I've pretty much ever done, including a bunch of interviews. Right before I released this episode, I put out my latest interview with Kelly McFarland. She's an excellent comedian out of Boston. And you should check out the interview on the episode of The Constitutionals before this. But if you want to watch a video version of that interview, you can go to youtube.com/cpluscomedy, where you can watch a video version of this show, as well as video versions of the other podcasts. Late Night Lately, the Late Night Show, and LinkedIn Logs, the jobs and business news podcast. Subscribe to those shows wherever you get your podcasts, because you can get them pretty much anywhere now, and my podcast RSS feed thing does that well. Follow us on social media at C+ Comedy on TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, and YouTube. Me on those platforms at Chad Blackwhite. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.